To the United stand. First and foremost, the thumbnail was not my idea. Before anybody tweets anything about I'm in charge of the thumbnail, I'm in charge of whatever, I'm not. I am simply a host. I'm just an employee. I have no powers here, right? It was probably the producer's idea or someone. But listen, on a positive, what a way to start the show. It has been a fantastic game. No matter how, the performance, whatever, how good Everton looked, we scored 3 goals in a game and kept a clean sheet. I've got a star-studded lineup with me. Absolutely fantastic. We've got Kev, we've got Double A, and we've got Mordz. Everybody, as you can tell, is so happy here in the studio. Lots of goals to talk about, lots of positives to talk about. I'll start off with, first and foremost, of course, the goal of the season, the goal of probably in the last 10 years, if you look back at some of the goals that big players have scored, the Gareth Bale goal, the Ronaldo, now, Alejandro Garnacho, a teenager, right? Just a young player who's just started his proper contract career at Manchester United. 2 minutes in, scores an overhead kick from a peachy, perfect overhead, sensational cross from Diego Dallo, right?
Yeah, he had nothing to do after that. It was all about the cross.
I mean, Rashford got involved. I mean, Ten Hag said the build-up, right? Part of the build-up is the pass from Rashford to Dallo, the cross. But the finish, let's be honest, there's debates going on all online about that. That finish is better than Rooney's finish against City because Rooney was a bit more inwards, inside. He has to go through, towards a corner. Kev, tell me, what was going through your head when you saw that, when you saw him even try and put an overhead kick? Did you think, what you're doing?
At the age that Garnacho is, and you kind of look at it in isolation, and but my actual celebration for it, I kind of screamed. And then I think I was in shock because I'm like, look, it's very rare that you see a goal like that. And the lift that it'll give him, but you're talking about, I'm not over-egging it here, it's one of the greatest goals of all time. Not even just a Man United player. You touch on the Rooney one. I was at Old Trafford when Rooney scored that, and again, you kind of look at it and you're just like, oh my God. But in the words of Borat, wow, wow, wow. I mean, it was incredible. It set the tone for the game. United, one of my criticisms this season has been that we never take a game to a team. And we've gone to Everton, who you knew that the kind of atmosphere, and you expected them to come at us. I think we just totally caught him off guard.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about the cross, Faz, as well. I'm not having that. He had a lot to do. Dallo put that ball behind him.
Let's not get bogged down with the nitty-gritty here. Let's just concentrate on the...
It's one of the greatest goals ever. It was brilliant.
And the cross will be remembered. It will be remembered.
It will never be remembered.
Double A, because I want to get everybody's opinion on the goal. Double A, what was going through your head when the ball hits the back of the net?
My honest opinion on what was going through my head. Why have they not let me into the building? I was stuck outside at that door.
Wait, so you missed it?
I missed it. I was watching it on my phone. It was a minute behind. I've buzzed, and Faz and Ryan, I heard the shout, and I was like, oh, he scored. So the replay, I thought, fucking fantastic. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. But my general first thoughts were, missed it. Nice one, Faz. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it though.
Yeah,
and obviously we know you enjoyed the cross.
I wanted to go through the TV. What did I say when you guys came in? If that was at home, I would have wanted to storm the pitch. I lost my absolute mind.
But no, honestly, looking at it, it's again, it kind of fits Garnacho, doesn't it? That bold, brave decision, not fearless at all. You know what I mean? Well, he's fearless. Sorry, he's totally fearless. And you expect it from a player like that. Doing the unexpected. And, he did really well to get what was one of Dalot's worst crosses. Well, he's, 1 out of 6 is good. So I'll let you count that as one of the 6 that's good.
It's an assist
for Dalot.
And not everybody's capable of doing that. There's only certain players in world football. For Garnacho to do it at that age on the Premier League stage, it tells you so much about this player as well. Because again, we have been critical saying, what does Garnacho bring to the party when he starts a game for Manchester United? He's answered that today. It was sensational. There's so many words you can sort of throw at this goal. It's the kind of thing, I'm going home later on, glass of red wine, and just watch it on repeat for hours on end. Give me that.
Kev, why are you still in the bathroom? Hold on. Hold on. But it's one thing trying it, but to get the connection and to place it where he's placed it, as far out as he is on the edge of the box, is unbelievable.
It's one you could try it 100 times in training,
absolutely,
and you're not hitting the back of the net. You know, in a game to do that.
It's unbelievable. I seen a great tweet saying it's one of them goals where you just finish the game. It deserves to win the game.
I wanted the final whistle on the goal. I thought if he ends up on the losing team today, that is a disservice. You know, it's
Puskas. He has to win the Puskas.
No, honestly, one thing that I was going to say was, like, we talk about like moments with big players. Like you think of, like, for example, even the Rooney goal. That's a moment. And there's other goals that, like the James Rodriguez goal in the World Cup.
Yeah.
These moments are kind of what define players sometimes. And whenever we look back over careers, when a player's had like a great career, we look back at like certain goals. It might not be a Champions League final. It might not be a World Cup goal, but you remember these kind of moments. Like, remember Garnacho did that when he was 19 years old, and it reminds you of how great these players were when they were coming up in those early stages. So this was that moment. And
it's like the Michael Owen goal for England against Argentina, you know, announces his name on the big stage, and Beckham, obviously for United against Wimbledon, you know, the halfway line goal, that kind of made Beckham, you know, he kicked on, that's what we're hoping for. You just have to hope it's not a
Makeda moment, yeah?
Right.
Which I don't think it will be with Garnacho.
Don't bring the negativity in here, Double A.
I can see that Mark has passed over everyone from the player ratings. For all of you guys, the admin has put a comment that the thumbnail was my idea. Please stop spreading malicious rumours. It was not my idea. But with that being said, we're not far off. We're not far off from the top, are we, Kev? We're only a couple of 6 points. 7 points. I know we're on 0 goal difference, but let's see what happens in the coming weeks. There's a good few super chats that I want to bring up and address quickly. Bear with, let me just bring them up. Thank you everyone for getting your super chats involved. The first one, Cobbs, thank you for joining the members club. Rob as well, thank you for joining the members club. Son Hung Min says, have you noticed Onana has a nice booty? It's nice. I have noticed, and so does Luke Shaw. Sierra O'Leary, well, it's important to have big glutes when playing football.
Of course,
it's important.
Biggest muscle in the body, apparently.
Yes, and that's what you use for explosiveness. Yeah.
You're on your own with that one. You're on your own.
Sierra says, love the win, plus Eric Ten Hag in, but can't understand in-game management. Rashford terrible, giving away possession, but you still take off Garnacho. It's mind-boggling every game, and love Kobbie Mainoo. We'll talk about Rashford shortly. Anthony Tracy says, 4 points off Liverpool after a horrible start. I love that comment because last season people said Liverpool beat us 7-0 even after their worst season. So technically,
we're not 4 points of Liverpool.
I don't know how many, 4 or 5 or something like that.
We're 4 off.
7 points off the top. So,
and if you want
when
to
you
really
look at it like that, it's a bit
5 behind City.
Yeah. But then they've got plus 17 goals, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and we've got 0. Budge says, Man City is going down. You saw Everton protests. Let's talk about our front line, actually, because they all scored, right? Yeah. Martial got involved. Rashford obviously got given the penalty, and Garnacho as well. But not to put a downer on the show or anything, but let's actually address Marcus Rashford. All of us saw the performance today. We saw numerous times he's just struggling to get past one single player. I can't count in one hand how many times he missed a pass. At one point, Harry Maguire's like really free on the right wing, and he decides simply not to pass him, and he decides to continue play and ends up losing the ball. Eric Ten Hag obviously shifts him in the middle in the second half instead of taking him off. I'll start with you, Mordz. Yeah. What do you make of this performance, and especially Bruno's comment saying that he could do with the confidence?
I mean, it's an ongoing conversation with Rashford. We all think that when the confidence comes back, he's going to be this kind of crazy, majestical player like we saw last season when people were comparing him to Mbappe for whatever reason. I was one of those people, but it was just kind of we were a bit excited. We were seeing Rashford score every game and thinking, wow, like, he's one of the best players in the league. And I think everyone's just so eager to see him get back to that point. We think a penalty or something like that is going to kind of change it. And I think people are slowly realising that it's not going to be something that simple. Because even going to the international break, I was one of the people that was thinking, you know what, I want to see Rashford play because I want to see him score. I want to see him get on the goal sheet, get on the score sheet, and maybe that'll turn off some kind of energy inside him to maybe continue that kind of form into the club. And it's not happened. And as a manager, I mean, I've heard Fergie say this, and I've heard a couple of other players. I think there's different ways to coach players to get that confidence back. Some players, if you play them a lot, it's not going to help them get back. Sometimes you have to take players out of the limelight, and you have to kind of, like Harry Maguire, take him out of the limelight, let him just breathe a little bit and let the other players come into the team and perform better, and then slowly work them back into the team. Like I said, with Maguire, and their confidence will build back up. I feel like with Rashford, that might be the thing that needs to happen. I feel like playing him every game and him continuously to put in poor performances isn't bringing his confidence back. And I don't think this penalty made a difference, because even after the penalty went in, he still played poor. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a manager thing where Ten Hag needs to change the way how he's dealing with the situation. Or it's just going to keep getting worse. I can't see it just changing after one game. He needs to think of a new plan to try and get Rashford back to what we know he is.
All right. Double A, look, like Mordz said, it doesn't change over one game, right? You make mistakes in a game, but you also have positive moments, right? We've seen that with Garnacho, many games where he's losing the ball. Newcastle game, for example, he lost the ball and we ended up conceding. And one of the things I've mentioned before, wingers need to protect the ball better. But with him, it's not improving at any rate at all in any game. And he's actually not helping the front line more so than anything. Does that make sense? Even if it was helping the front line. Yes, from the right hand side, he's given a cross to Rasmus in Champions League and he scored. But do you think it's because Garnacho's coming on the left and now having these sorts of performances that it's hindering his confidence even more?
It shouldn't. If anything, it should spur him on. We see with people like Luke Shaw, when he gets an able deputy behind him who can push him fully, it makes Luke Shaw play a lot better. Marcus Rashford has to have that same mindset, and should be worrying for him. It should kick him up the backside even more with Garnacho scoring goals, Martial getting on the score sheet. Pellistri came on and did well. You know, I think he played a part in the third goal as well. So, you know, it's healthy competition. Maybe Marcus Rashford feels a little bit too confident and knowing that he's the star man, the big player I'm going to play regardless of my performances. And Mord's right, you know, it takes the manager to be a bit brave and take him out of the firing line in certain instances to know that you have to win your place back if you're going to continue to play at this level. And we know he's not playing well, and it's not a case of he's a poor player. It is massively confidence, and sometimes you need them things to go right for you. And Bruno giving him that penalty, let's hope now he takes that and he feels a lot better about himself, takes it into the next game, which, you know, it's obviously going to be next Saturday against Newcastle, big game. And we start to see him do it. It's the basics that he's not doing right that really frustrates me the most.
Totally agree.
You know, you see that ball that he should be playing to Bruno, he can't even get that right, and you think when he gets the ball now, in your back of your head you're thinking invariably he's going to lose it, or he's going to do something to break down the move, or to frustrate fans and his teammates a little bit more. But we know the player that's in there. It's just about him rediscovering that fire and confidence to get himself back up to the level we know we can play at. Because last season, he really was one of the best players in the league, regardless of what you say. Yeah. The goals he was scoring and how important it was for this team and where we finished was brilliant, and we need him back massively in that
Kev,
form.
look, when you're playing football and you're having a run of bad games, you almost start overthinking scenarios on the pitch, right? And it clearly seems like that with Marcus Rashford. He's so hesitant. He's double thinking himself. He's clearly not confident. Even though, you know, when he scored the penalty, I was shouting, right? Point to your head, because that's the Rashford I know from last season, where it's like, I'm calm, everything is locked in, I'm locked in. But it just doesn't seem like he's in his zone, he's in his element. And obviously, it's not, you know, this situation happened off the field with his brother and etc. So whatever can happen can play a part what you're doing on the pitch. What do you think he needs to do going forward? Because he's not playing the Galatasaray game, which is a massive game for us. But the Newcastle game is just as big because we need to keep climbing the table. What do you think he needs to do? And especially, what do you think Ten Hag needs to do with him?
I think on current form, he doesn't get in that team. And I would probably argue that he wouldn't have been in the team today if Højlund was fit.
Interesting.
I think he probably, my personal opinion is I go with Martial on the left. I don't think Martial is a number 9. I thought he did an all right job today, but a fully fit Højlund, Martial on the left, Garnacho right, I think that could be something to look at. The thing with Rashford is, and Mord's brilliant points there, saying about certain players react to, you know, different things. It was like Luke Shaw under Mourinho, that tough love. Yeah. Luke Shaw didn't respond well to that. It was kind of strange what Mourinho did to him. You need to know how to work these players. Martial's another one who didn't like the tough love off Mourinho, you know, sometimes. But what do you do with Marcus Rashford? You know, it was a poor performance today from Rashford. There's no beating around the bush with that one. He scored a goal, and some people that are not big fans of Marcus Rashford will probably argue that this is what he did last season. He scored goals in games, but he didn't actually perform over 90 minutes. The goals kind of come, and yes, he scored a ridiculous amount of goals last season, which probably masked.
Was it because of a contract, though?
Possibly. I've mentioned that before. I said that the curse of the contract. It's you look at Aubameyang, Ozil at Arsenal. The minute they got these mega contracts, for some reason, they just take the foot off the pedal. Did they take their eye off the ball? Are they giving far too much early? That's a debate for another show, because I would love to see footballers get like a set rate. A flat fee or whatever it is a week, but it's all then made up of incentives. What better way to actually go out there? We all have jobs and stuff. If you work in sales, it's all on incentives. You have to go out there, drive, ambition. And some of these footballers, definitely, we've seen it so many times. They will take the foot off the pedal because they're getting so much.
Yeah. Few quotes from Erik ten Hag and our captain Bruno Fernandes, especially on Kobbie Mainoo, that I want to bring up. Ten Hag says, this is on Mainoo, he says, "We know we're in a transition. We have to develop players. Kids have to deserve it. It was painful for us when he got a bad injury in pre-season, but now he's back. He's a good boy, very mature, and he showed it today." Bruno Fernandes also speaks on Kobbie Mainoo and says, "Great game for the man of the match. For me, man of the match." Obviously, he said to Garnacho, "You don't deserve it," in a jokey way, but he's saying,
it's true,
according to Bruno, Kobbie Mainoo gets man of the match. A great performance and secure on the ball. Never puts a foot wrong. He's always ready to help. For his age, he has too much quality. He sees the play before and did so many good things today. He was secure on the ball." Let's actually talk on Kobbie Mainoo, because I was very surprised that he was starting today, because it's a big game after international break. The pressure's on, and it seemed like he was born to play for Manchester United and born to play at this level. Now, I've already seen on Twitter huge accounts tweeting out saying he's the best midfielder in the Premier League and crazy stuff like that.
You don't want to build him up too much, but
and that can get to players' heads just as much. I personally know Kobbie Mainoo is a very humble, down to earth. From going to academy games, seeing him over the years, he's very humble, very solid, and you could see that on the pitch. Nothing phases him. He's very calm. Okay, same thing you see with Hannibal almost as well. Very calm, collected. But Double A, I'll start with you. What do we do now? Because our midfield has been so imbalanced. And even with Kobbie Mainoo on the pitch, there was numerous times, especially after the 30th minute onwards, Everton were through so many times, creating an abundance of chances, walking through our midfield, having loads of pockets of spaces. What do you think happens now Kobbie's back and Casemiro's there, Amrabat's there, Eriksen's there when they're fit and ready, Mount is there, Bruno's there? How does he manage to fit Kobbie Mainoo in? Because it's almost like because of injuries, he's got the chance.
No, I genuinely disagree with you slightly. I think Mainoo was the plan all this season. I think you look at pre-season and he was playing him consistently. I think what he wanted to do, I personally think Mount was always going to be in there somewhere and about. But Casemiro and Mainoo, I think, was going to be that sort of little partnership in midfield, and eventually one would drop. Obviously, Casemiro would probably eventually hand over the reins to Mainoo. I genuinely think he knows how special this player is, and I think he's got a massive plan for him. And I don't think we get Amrabat if Mainoo don't get that injury in pre-season. I think that was to cover that injury being out for a while. I honestly, it's one of them, like Kev says, you don't want to overgas young players, you don't overhype them so much, but that for a debut in the Premier League, he was outshining international Premier League proven players. He was showing up a lot of players there with his calmness, his play. You wouldn't think he was so young, and this was his first game in the Premier League. He was absolutely fantastic, and if he had better midfielders alongside him, I'm not a fan of McTominay whatsoever. I know he said he had a decent game, and he did. He was, it's an average game for McTominay, but you put in an Eriksen or you put in Amrabat, I think, who would be in better form, Casemiro, I think that midfield is a lot more solid and a lot better going forward, and even holding teams and holding them out and playing a lot better than what we saw today. But for me, that as a debut is one of the best debuts I've seen in the Premier League for a long time.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think that was his first game. Honestly, it's mad to think he was at an away ground where we sometimes look fantastic and sometimes get battered. Goodison Park. It's not always a happy hunting ground for us. It can be very intimidating, and then, like you say, you wouldn't even known that he'd not played for like 10 years. He was fantastic, and Bruno's right. He was man of the match for me, absolutely. And
I'll just sorry to jump in on Kobbie Mainoo, because I was so impressed. When you think pre-season he was brilliant. I know Declan Rice didn't get a touch in pre-season, and people will look at it and they go, oh, it's pre-season, this, that. But all you can do is react to what you are watching. This lad hasn't played all season. He's come in, like Double A says, at Everton away, Goodison Park, tough game in a midfield area where you know it's going to be key. And I know I just said before, I don't want to build up players. So it's going to sound like I'm slightly contradicting myself here, but if I mention him in the same breath, hear me out, like, before I get clipped up, as a Jude Bellingham. And by that, I mean, Jude Bellingham plays football now like he's in his prime, like he's 28, 29 years old or whatever. He's like years ahead of himself, does the easy things really, really well, and, you know, like really effective for the team. Mainoo today, I just thought he just looked years above, you know, the age that he is, and it just gives you so much hope moving forward to see a young player like that coming through. And it has been a main problem at Manchester United, you know, that midfield area, to see somebody breaking in. Yes, Casemiro's injured, Eriksen's injured, but that is where we're at the minute with these players. They are coming towards the end of their career. Mainoo is now starting out at Manchester United. We've always at Manchester United prided ourselves on youth development and bringing these players through. So to me, it's just, you know, it's lovely.
Make no mistakes as well. Everton would have targeted our midfield today, and that's definitely the area where we seem to be.
They would have looked at that and thought, who's this kid that's playing? For him
to play like that and absolutely hold his own against, like,
he was one step ahead every single time. He already knew where the ball was going to be passed before he'd even received it. It was just, it's really, you know, like, you can't coach that. That's just something he's naturally got. It's a talent.
For me, one of the things that I noticed is he's coming in the central position in between the two centre-backs and making himself available. Yeah. And as I'm watching him, I'm seeing how often is he scanning his shoulders to see who's behind him. And you see Everton, which I was surprised with, I mentioned it while I was watching, is how hard they were trying to press us and close Onana down. So as I'm watching, I'm seeing him scan, and whenever he's receiving the ball, no player's getting close to him because he's 2-3 steps ahead, and that's uncoachable. That's talent. That's what you're born with.
Experienced player.
That's IQ.
Look at
that's Frankie De Jong-esque.
Look at the goal line clearance. You know, he finds himself, and at that stage, that made it 1-1 if that goes in. You know, that's a huge moment of the game. And a lad that's so young, you know, is there. And if you watch it back, you know, it wasn't simple. He knew that he had to flick that ball up because was it Garner or somebody was coming in to try and, you know, sliding in, knowing that if he taps this ball like to the right, which is the only thing he could do, this is going to hit my foot and it's a tap-in. But he actually managed just to slightly tap it over his leg. Yeah. It was unbelievable in a split second.
In my opinion, Mainoo's given Ten Hag a whole new light for this team, because
I call it good headache.
Exciting.
Good headache. It's good headache because the midfield was very congested, probably our most congested part of the pitch in my opinion, but there was even though it was congested, there was so much wrong at the same time, because it was like Casemiro was very inconsistent, Eriksen, not inconsistent, but he can only play certain positions, and the Mount was a bit inconsistent and whatnot. Amrabat, you don't really know what he's going to be, but Mainoo was coming to this team and he pretty much said to Ten Hag, look, if you play me here, I'm going to give you an 8 out of 10. I know this is his first game and we need to see him a lot more, obviously, but if he's putting in that kind of performances game after game after game, Ten Hag he's now got a play where he can feel confident and comfortable to play him every single game there. And the playing as a DM is not an easy position. In my opinion, it's one of the hardest positions on the pitch, because you have to control the tempo of the game. You're dropping in deep where you're going to be pressed a lot. You're closer to your net, so if you're making mistakes, it's probably going to lead to a goal. It's going to lead to a counter-attack. So you've got to be very, very confident on the ball. And Kobbie Mainoo's coming to that team, coming to the game. And like you said, it's just composure. It's making the right passes. Kind of like Carrick, in my opinion, because he doesn't have to do the flashy things to let you know that he's still the best player on the pitch. Yeah. He's still the guy on the pitch where you can give him the ball, you ain't got to worry about it. He's going to make the right pass. He's going to know where the plays are. He's going to know where the pockets of space is. And so, like I said, I think he's giving Ten Hag a bit of light right now. He's thinking, okay, I'm a bit set now. I'm a bit more comfortable, especially because of the amount of injuries he's got in midfield as well. Yeah. Two things I want to say, because obviously I'm very critical of the manager. From everybody knows this. It's very public knowledge. And I was very adamant to critiquing the manager as to why he didn't go in the market for a player similar profile to Frankie De Jong.
because you can't get Frankie de Jong. We know why. So why are you not trying to find another player similar? And I've criticised the signing of Amrabat. I've also criticised that as much as Casemiro was good, he's not a player that you bring in to build on for the futures ahead. But now it makes sense, and it's the manager's, like I kept saying, the manager does things, and I'm here, I have to shut up because he's proving what the plan is. And now looking at Kobbie Mainoo like this, I'm thinking maybe that was the plan. That you said Kobbie Mainoo was part of the plan all along. Yeah. That's why he didn't go in for Frankie de Jong again this summer, and he didn't need to look for another profile because don't forget, in Ajax he had the Frankies while he was young, the Ryan Gravenbergs while he was young, and now he's got Kobbie Mainoo while he's absolutely so young, and he can develop him,
exactly into what he wants him to do.
And he's not tied down to one way of playing because he's played somewhere else. He's a Eric Ten Hag through and through. He's just come from the academy and he'll get brought in exactly how he wants to be brought in. Maybe even he tells him after a few games, right, go back to the academy. You've had your little experience. There's certain things I've noticed you've done well. There's certain things I need you to sharpen on. Go and do that. And the most important thing, for me anyways, whilst we have Casemiro, Kobbie Mainoo needs to download the whole data set from Casemiro's head, because whether Casemiro's not performing or not, the man is an exceptional, world-class, well-achieved best defensive midfielder, in the world. And yes, at this moment his career is, on a decline or stagnating, but Kobbie can take absolute huge amount of information from him. And that's what needs to happen right now more than anything. There's loads of super chats and a couple of more quotes as well I want to get into, but just before that, December 11th live show in Manchester. We're all going to be there. Tickets are still available. I don't think there's many tickets available. Tickets are still available. Link is in the description. Go ahead and get your tickets. All of us will be there. Mark will be there. Beth, Ricky, I think producer Sam, Jordan, everybody's going to be there. And you can come and ask us any questions, see us probably rebuttal and argue about things. Sorry, producer, nobody cares about you, really. Sorry about that. No, I'm joking. Greg will be there as well. I'm joking. Greg will be there. If you see Greg, he looks like Amrabat's brother with just
goalkeeper.
Maybe a couple of chicken tikkas in him, maybe. But get your tickets. Loads of super chat. Let me address them quickly. There's loads and loads of super chat that have come in. Let me see. Dennis says, how do Rashford and Mixer stay on after being trash? We'll talk about Scott McTominay. Darren says, do you think we should stop playing from the back until we have good enough defenders to take the ball out or to play it out? I totally agree. I've been saying stop playing out from the back, the 3-1-6. We didn't really play in the 3-1-6 today, did you? You didn't see 6 players lined up in the opposition's box. Anthony Tracy says, need to move big player contracts on and trust the youth. And Butch says, guys, I saw Kobbie versus Arsenal live, top baller. Sticks says, Mainoo is that good. We forgot about McTominay. And a few quotes from Eric Ten Hag. Obviously, sideline, he wasn't there today. Van der Gaag took over. Ten Hag on the game, he says, the start of the game, very good. A very good team goal. The finish was incredible. World class. Probably already the goal of the season. Magnificent moment. But then we went passive and Everton went in the game. At halftime, we corrected it and we're very good. We were proactive, taking the initiative and scoring great goals. At first, I was wondering, why is it not a penalty? Speaking of the penalty, so obvious. Happy we got the penalty. We have some very good penalty takers. There you saw captaincy. He knew a player needed the goal. It will help him and give him that extra strength. And that's from Eric Ten Hag speaking on Rashford. Let me touch on one player, Harry Maguire. Clean sheet, a lot of criticism, replies to the Ghanaian MP after the viral video from last year. He waited so long for his moment and he got it. Magaluf, the partnership that everybody talks about, I say that they have mistakes in them, but again today, very, very solid. I'll be honest, they were clearing all the aerial threats. Even when they have the ball, they didn't hoof the ball a lot. Like the switch of play was actually quite accurate.
They look comfortable.
The passing from Maguire at times accurate. Lindelof, didn't really need to do a lot, but even in the moments he was involved, not making mistakes, not looking like he's pulling out of challenges. Kev, what did you make of the partnership?
Sometimes I look at it and it fills me with dread. I'm not going to lie to you. At the start of the game, I kind of look and I think, if Everton, Sean Dyche is doing his team talk, it's target them two, get at them. Same with Mainoo. They might have looked and took their eye off the ball slightly, thinking, who's this young lad, rough him up. But certainly Man United's spine, if you look at that, as an opposition manager, you are definitely looking to exploit Maguire and Lindelof. But thought they were solid. Another integral part, I mean, in the build-up, the fan cam that I did, I was singing Luke Shaw's praises, saying getting Luke Shaw back into this team, transforms United, and everybody's straight on to me. What's he going to do? What do you mean transform? I thought Luke Shaw was brilliant today. The fact he's versatile as well, I think he's clearly a better centre-back than Maguire and Lindelof as well, if you want to mix him up and play him in there. Luke Shaw was brilliant. I thought the defence was. They had to be on their A game today, because it's going to be a physical kind of game at Goodison Park. But yeah, I can't have any complaints. I've said my bit on Harry Maguire in the past. I've also backed it up with backtracking and doubling down big time, because regardless of whatever you think about Maguire, that he stayed at United for the money, didn't want to go to West Ham, it is up to him. He has a contract at United. He's decided not to. He's got his head down. He's got his opportunity in this team because Varane and Martinez have been injured. He's taken his chance, and he is. Regardless of what anybody says, he is doing it now on the pitch. United are keeping clean sheets. If you look at the last, 4 or 5 kind of results that we've got, we're keeping clean sheets, which is a major thing.
Let me ask you, Mordz, Varane on the bench. Yeah. A lot of talk about him having a fallout with the manager. Tactical reasons, probably, for Maguire and Lindelof to start together. Yeah. What do you think that's going to be the partnership now going forward, and Varane's going to be filtered out? Because a lot of people were saying, someone said in the build-up show that a lot of these players were from Van Gaal time. Some of these players playing. So why is he not playing Varane?
I mean, ideally, it should be Varane. And I think the problem was the fact that Varane he didn't want to play Varane and Maguire together, because obviously right side centre-back, left side centre-back. You kind of want to really and truly, ideally, you want a left-footed player on the left side of centre-back anyway, just because it's better when it's playing out. You can pick a pass better with your left foot on the left side than you can pick with your right foot. It's just football tactics. So I think that's the reason why Varane and Maguire, his choice wasn't to put them both together. I don't know, but the Varane situation is weird, because I think Ten Hag came out and he said there's no problem. That there was
played it down.
There was just rumours and it's nothing. So I've always said about like man management and how Ten Hag, in my opinion, there's been cases in the club where he hasn't managed players the greatest, for example Sancho and whatnot. And for this situation, I was kind of in that same mindset that why is there more conflict, especially with a player like Varane. I've never heard Varane ever come out in his whole career about having an issue with a manager. And that's an experienced player. He's been through everything, World Cups, won everything, Champions Leagues. For him to now have a problem with a manager, to me, it's like, maybe the problem is Ten Hag. Maybe the problem isn't Varane. But like you said, the players that he's picking now are performing, so you kind of have to back him still. Because as long as we're getting clean sheets, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think Onana probably has the most clean sheets in the league right now, which is wild. You know what I mean? So the fact that United are getting clean sheets and Ten Hag is sticking with what he knows and he's not doubling down and falling to what everyone's saying, pick Varane, pick him, pick da-da-da-da. To me, it just shows that he is making the right decisions, and his man management is getting a little bit better.
I just want to say on Onana there, I think it's testament to him that we don't talk about him on here anymore. Yeah, and I think that is because he's actually, he's at the start, remember the United stand, we were on here and we were like, and I think we're all a bit worried, it's like, what have we done here? You think of the goal against Bayern Munich, he was literally throwing them in, we were like, what's going on? The last sort of 5, maybe 6 games, he's clearly United's number one anyway, but he has just cemented his place. And in a game like that today against Everton, where you're going to be sort of backs to the walls for maybe periods of the game, and you're going to have to be good playing out from the back. Yeah. I thought Onana just set, the press. Calvert-Lewin was running onto. He was just playing the right passes, and it helped us to get up. I'm starting to see the Onana that I seen in the Champions League final that got me really excited about him. Thinking this, once we get a settled back four, I will always say that in Onana's defence, that once we get settled back four that can actually play out from the back, it will transform Manchester United. But the fact we are not even talking about Onana anymore, he deserves praise.
He was always going to take a keeper to bed in, especially when you've just replaced a legend who's been here for 12 years or however long De Gea was here for. You needed that, and obviously with Manchester United, every mistake, every incident you're involved in is always highlighted anyway. So I had no worries that he would eventually start to find some form and prove the quality keeper that he is. Just going back on the defence thing as well, it's funny with Ten Hag because he's kind of having this not hypocritical approach, but you know, he's playing players in form, Lindelof and Maguire, absolutely, which he should do. But then people are going mad because he's not doing the same at the top of the pitch with Bruno and Rashford, because them two were his guys last season, as Varane was at the back. So you're thinking, well, if he's going to play Bruno and Rashford all the time, even if they're throwing out stinkers, why is Varane not being able to get into the team? I personally think something must have gone on. Because, yes, Ten Hag come out and played it down, but he also said he couldn't wait to play with and work with Ronaldo. And then look what happened with Ronaldo. So he has got previous to saying stuff like this. But Varane, for me, is still our best centre-back. And I think eventually Maguire and Lindelof will show their true colours again. This is a purple patch. Let's not kid ourselves. They're not all of a sudden turned into Baresi and Maldini. They're not going to be fantastic
the games
forever.
that we played in this run, you know, we were all shocked on the last fan forum to find out we're the most informed team in the Premier League. We were like, what?
Couldn't believe it.
You know, and we are on paper statistically when you look. Hadn't really played well, but it's crazy.
Maguire will Maguire again.
Yeah. When Martinez comes back, he's straight in there, isn't he?
For sure.
You probably think that Varane as well, and again, like I just mentioned earlier, you have got the versatility of Luke Shaw as well playing centre back.
I won't be surprised if Harry Maguire ends up staying for a few years.
Yeah, same.
Because if you look at mathematically,
do you think he'd be happy just to sit on the bench?
No, but he is playing, and I'll tell you why. Because firstly, he's playing lots of games now. He's performing well, so it adds to his kind of repertoire and him having the credit, saying I've had good performances. That's one. Number two, the pecking order at which the centre backs need to leave is probably Johnny Evans first, because let's be honest, we can't keep him next year, right? Yeah. So that's one. Varane is number two. He's probably going to leave after all of this that's gone on, whether he's played, not played argument or not. He's going to leave. That's number two. Then probably Lindelof is number three. There's an argument between Lindelof and Maguire, but Maguire's got a few years contract left, whereas Lindelof, I don't think so. So Lindelof will probably be another one. And we're only in for one centre-back at the moment, with Luke Shaw being the other player that can play the centre-back role, because we just found out. So
I think it depends. I think it personally depends on Martinez coming back and getting in the team and showing his class again, and us if we go and dip in the market and get a Todibo. Because I think if we get Todibo and Martinez is back fit, I think it doesn't matter who else is available, they will be his two. And I think we saw signs of it last season with Maguire being really on the edge of being forced out when Luke Shaw was playing centre-back ahead of him. If that happens again, where everyone's fit and Maguire really is getting pushed down, I then think it goes even further. It depends on Southgate in England, because I think Maguire will only leave United if
he says you have to be playing first team football.
If he's not played 2 or 3 games for England because of the players that are playing for other teams, and let's be honest, there's so many Tomori and John Stones, there's centre-backs that will play regular and play well. If he's losing his place consistently for England, I think then, and only then, will it really make a decision in his head that he has to leave United. But like you, he's on a contract, big wage, the prestige of playing for Manchester United and everything that comes with it. And right now, he's got no reason to leave the club.
And I think as well, with him and Varane, when it comes to who he would rather leave, I think Varane is more likely to leave just because Varane's already played at the highest level.
Done everything.
Whereas Maguire's kind of not. He hasn't done anything.
It comes down to ambition, doesn't it?
You'd expect to play
he
like
lifted a Carabao Cup.
With
Fernandes.
Captain the club.
I mean, when it comes to big trophies, Maguire hasn't really done anything. If we're being honest.
Lifted the Carabao Cup.
No, he did.
And then just sits there looking at us all for a reaction.
He did, though.
But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to like ambition, I feel like Varane, if he was given a choice, I feel like he'd say to himself, you know what, I've actually won everything. I don't need to be at United. As long as I get first team football, that's kind of what he cares about. Whereas Maguire is kind of like, if I leave United and we're playing well, it's only going to be downhill. There's no way he's going to go to a bigger club than United right now. Let's be honest.
There is a fear of that, and you can understand that, because a lot of players will say once they leave United, it's downhill. You have heard that in the past. So, in fairness, he had a contract and he's clinged on to it, but he's well within his rights to do it.
Speaking of downhill, though, the Everton fan, Callum, who was on our build-up show, said he would take the one player from Manchester United he would take is Harry Maguire. And Everton are likely to get relegated now, so...
Damn.
That's his...
That's the only player he'd take from United.
Yeah, that's what he said, because Sean Dyche football, defensive football, Harry Maguire would probably flourish. That's who we would take.
That's a hot take. That's hotter than some of the stuff that Ricky comes out with.
Let's talk about our fullbacks. Luke Shaw back in. We all were excited that he's back. I was personally thinking that it's too early to bring him back against Everton. Look at start him. Look at how physical they got at one point in the game, and I'm very PTSD'd by players coming back and then going back out on injury, and that's something we want to avoid. But Dalot and Luke Shaw, they held their own today. Let's be honest. I don't think there was any concern at all. What did you make of it?
For Luke Shaw not to have played, we talk about Mainoo, not playing since sort of pre-season, getting injured. Luke Shaw's been out a long time this season. To come back into a game like that, I was the same as you. I kind of raised my eyebrows when I seen it. I thought, bloody hell, he's starting him. Personally, I would have thought, let's see how the game goes, if we can introduce him late on to get a few minutes. But he's actually managed to do the flip reverse of it. Play probably his strongest team that he can pick at this moment in time, which includes Luke Shaw at left back. The fact we get into that winning position, he's in a lovely position then with 20 odd minutes to go to bring Luke Shaw off and rest him. The game's done, job done, pat on the back for Luke Shaw. Nice one. But I thought he was brilliant. He's very, very clever,
but
Luke Shaw.
What do you think of him, and I come to Mordz actually, because you were about to speak. What do you think of him not bringing on Reguilon? And and pushing Dalot to the left back and bringing on Bissaka.
I mean, I was literally about to say that. I was more surprised that Bissaka didn't start, because in my opinion, since he's come back, he's been one of our better players.
But he didn't need to start today, because there was not going to be any threat in terms of flair players who's going to dribble past players that need defending. Even though when he did come, he made some fantastic tackles and whatever. But
I think he's in a good position now with fullbacks, because he has fullbacks with different profiles now. So we were very limited when it comes. In general, we were just very limited when it comes to fullbacks. At one point, it was just Dalot. Dalot. We had nobody else. But now he's got a selection of fullbacks where, like you said, if he wants to go more defensive, he can bring in a Wan-Bissaka, or he can even start him, and it's like he's going to shut up shop. Or if he wants to be a bit more attacking, he can put Dalot on left back, put Dalot right back, Luke Shaw left back, and you're a bit more offensive. Because even in this game, we were seeing at some points. Mainoo was dropping back super deep, and Luke Shaw was coming into midfield at some times. So it just shows that I think he's able now to experiment a little bit more with the fullbacks that he's choosing, whether he wants to go a lot more offensive and just take the game to another team, or let's just shut up shop, bring on Wan-Bissaka, put a Luke Shaw left back, even put Luke Shaw centre back and put on another left back there, and just let's hold the game tight, which I think is a positive for United.
It's mad how much Luke Shaw divides the fan base still to this day. I even know how important he was last season.
Partially because of how long he's been here.
I get that, but you have to look at two people for the past at him, and it's similar with other players, Martial and all this, which sometimes is true and should be listened to, but. Luke Shaw, again, was one of our most important players last season. Let's not forget that. He was absolutely fantastic. And it's a shame that he's only just starting his season now.
But what would you say to people who criticise his stats about assists?
I mean, is he a good defender? Is he the best left back we've got defending? I'm happy with that. That's why I don't think he brought Reguilon on, because I think Reguilon isn't great defensively, and I think I'd prefer Dalot there. I think Dalot's a better left back than he's a right back, personally, for me.
Sure.
I think he's quite good there. That's why I don't think he brought Reguilon on. I think you can be bogged down by stats and looking at that, but let's look at it. And one person I think who will be so happy he's back is Onana. I think having that outlet of Luke Shaw there, and you saw it a lot
having
today.
Trust in them defenders when he's playing out from the back, because I'm convinced early on in the season Onana was bypassing that sometimes. I don't think he was necessarily playing the passes that he wanted to, but in his head he'll think, I'm not giving it him in this situation.
I'll say one thing, and I said this previously, obviously Newcastle game being one of them, where Dalot made a terrible error of letting Almiron just run past him, and I said this to people, and people were really, really upset with me. I made a very simple excuse, or he's tired. And people say, no, how dare you say he's tired? You can't be tired. Because Bruno has played the same minutes as Diogo Dalot. And I said, Bruno plays a different position, requiring a different level of intensity compared to Dalot, who plays a different position, requiring a different level of intensity. They played the same amount of minutes, but have they done the same amount of kilometres? Have you considered that?
No chance.
If they've done the same amount of kilometres, how many of those kilometres has Dalot sprinted and how many of those has Bruno jogged or not needed to be sprinting? It's, you know, it's real dynamics that you have to consider. I noticed today Dalot was going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, no problem. And at one point I saw him when I think Everton looked like they were going to go on the counter. He just put his head down and he's blasted his guts to get back. Clearly, that little break in the international break, obviously he's had a child, congratulations to him, he's had a beautiful child. That little break helped him quite a bit because these are human beings we're talking about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
having a good time.
And having Bissaka back as well gives him that extra bit of help that he can be subbed off because he never gets subbed off.
No,
he just plays every minute, even on international duty.
Yeah, he needs a rest. And like you said, it was good to see him today really put in that effort of getting up and down the pitch. And like you say, you know, fullbacks are going to be more tired than at number 10 because of the miles they're doing or the kilometres they're doing. And congratulations to you. You're going to be the godfather as well to the child. Have I let that out? Or is that...
You know, Faz has been he's been in his DMs already.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, listen, he deserves credit today. He played a really good game when he was on. And listen, I've been a critic of him, but at the end of the day, all I want is for players to play well for Manchester United, and he did that today.
The important thing for me for an attacking fullback is, just like a fullback that's good at defending, is the timing of your tackle, and for an attacking fullback is the timing of your overlap. And he got that really well today, to time that run. And Rashford done well to give him the ball, you know, trust him with the ball as well. But let's talk about our number 9, you know, as we get to the latter stages of this show, Anthony Martial. A real different forward, right, Mordz?
Yeah.
To Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah.
At times I'm seeing him in midfield trying to touch the ball. Almost a bit quiet throughout the game. Not really involved as much as we thought he would be. Not really getting as many touches. But look, I think Bruno and Rashford had more touches on the ball at one point than Garnacho and Martial. But he gets an ice-cold finish from a moment of opportunity from Bruno and wins us a penalty. I think he's won the most penalties in the Premier League. Someone was telling me before.
In what, like, ever?
I think in the last few seasons since he's come in or something. Someone fact-checked this, but someone sent it to me. I didn't read the full thing, but he clearly wins a lot of fouls and penalties anyways. We know that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, me and Beth did a show the other day. We were talking about like trying to build a perfect United player. And we were talking about finishing. And I picked Højlund. I said Højlund's probably our best finisher. But she was saying that Martial, the composure that he has sometimes to finish, and he does miss, in my opinion, he used to anyway. I think he used to miss a lot of chances. But one thing that she mentioned was, when a player is composed to dink a ball over a keeper, usually a lot of players, they get into that position, let's just smash it. Let's just try and smash it or try and place it. But the highest quality of players, the top players, when they get into those positions and they can chip it over a keeper, that takes a lot of composure. That takes a lot of confidence in yourself to know that you can do that successfully. Because if you do that and you miss, everyone's thinking, why on earth did you do that? Just slide it in,
smash it.
Just smash it. Just smash it. Like, why are you trying to be fancy? Like, but the fact that he had the composure to do that it shows that, first of all, his confidence is up there, and secondly, it shows his ability. I think people kind of forget sometimes with Martial how good he is because of injuries and inconsistency in how he's playing. But even for the penalty, when he's running, the balls come into him, that first touch is crucial because that first touch takes him away from the defender straight away, and it means that he's pretty much either through on goal or he's got to foul him. Ashley Young's got to foul him, and obviously Ashley Young tried to claim he didn't foul him, but it was kind of obvious that he fouled him. I don't know how he tried to argue with that, but like I said, that striker instinct to get that first touch, take it past the defender, and then be through and goal. You might have scored it, you might not. He knows, but I think he's putting up a fight with Højlund. Højlund's obviously going to be the first choice anyway, just because we paid how much for him and he's so young. But Martial's definitely bringing a good case to say maybe I could play on the left, and maybe you might want to put me and Højlund at the same time, or to try something different. And Ten Hag's going to have to think about that when it comes to the next game.
We saw some glimpses of Martial today, of that Martial that Manchester United fans still fight for, because you were saying about, we have no other player that can finish like that. Absolutely not. Yeah. No one is as calm. Like you said, Rashford will smash that. And most strikers will smash that. The fact he's just not so nonchalant that he knows that he's just so comfortable, and his talent and his ability to do that finish is just second nature. It comes naturally to him. And
it was so cool.
It's just unbelievable.
Listen,
it's unbelievable.
To be in that position and actually.
I'll be honest, football sometimes turns me on. That goal.
Okay.
And the run to the...
Okay.
Oh, you get what I mean? I mean, we all watch football.
Talking about players' backside.
Elaborate.
Let's not get bogged down with the nitty-gritty. Let's not get bogged. But the way he... It's like when Rashford last season, he scored against Liverpool and he threw the corner flag. I nearly went unconscious. And it was today, that goal from Martial, because... I need someone to take the workload off Rasmus. Yeah. We know that he can't play 2 games a week, and his back issue that he has, you know, when he came in, when he signed for United, and he's so young that people are already. There are Man United fans who are already criticising Rasmus Højlund.
Of course,
they're saying he's not the player that we should have bought for the money that we paid. Look, if Martial, he's been fit every matchday squad this season. If Martial gets involved now and helps us come top 4, whatever it is, maybe even get to a semi-final, all of you, yes or no? Are you offering him a contract?
No.
When's this contract? When's it run out?
It's done.
This season.
He's free in
the
summer.
season.
Get involved in the chat. All I want is producer, can we get a poll? Martial, if he performs this season like this and stays injury-free for the majority period of the season, instead of paying for another striker, knowing what he can do, do you give him a light?
He's just going to break down again.
No, that's the thing.
And by the way, I think he should leave, but
he doesn't trust his body. I don't think he trusts his body as much as he used to, and I think there's always that fear that something is going to go wrong.
And they're always different injuries. It's not like the same thing. Yeah. So it's clearly something over time where he either gets rushed back or it's always a different injury.
He blamed Ollie. He didn't play him injured through that whole, is it 1920 and stuff like that. Him and Rashford were both playing injured, and I think that's had a lasting effect on his body. But listen, we shouldn't be nearly 2024 talking about Martial staying at Manchester United. I'm sorry.
Well,
it's time to get someone.
What if now Galatasaray, Rasmus is supposed to do a late fitness test, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was supposed to say that. We just ignore it. But anyways, if Rasmus is available or not, and Martial gets involved and gets us a goal and gets us a win against Galatasaray, I mean, these are real big moments and helps us get out of the group stage.
And I'm happy for him, but we'll see you later. The thing, I'm so happy because there's been this argument now about Martial, and you know, I was fearful Rashford was going to play 9 today, but I'm so happy that Ten Hag has finally trusted him to start a game to see how it is, because he's been coming on here and there, and everyone's like, yeah, but if you start him, he's just going to break down, he's just going to get injured. I'm happy that's not so far the case, touch wood.
Yeah.
But let's see. I can't sit here after one decent performance at Goodison with a goal and winning a penalty.
He's been here long enough. We know how it works.
We know we've got PTSD around that. I can't just say.
Well, this is why I said earlier when I mentioned that for me in that team, once Højlund's back fully firing and fit, it's really Rashford's place that is up for grabs, because I think if Martial starts to continue in that menacing form that I will call it today, didn't think he was world class or anything, but takes the goal, ice cold, brilliant finish to draw the penalty. You know, these are key moments of the game. It's 2 goals there. You know, he's created 1 by winning the penalty. If the performance level stays like that, for me, it's Rashford that's looking over his shoulder and thinking Martial's coming in on the left-hand side.
Pellistri as well.
And it would have great balance as a front three. That.
Yeah, I'm still going to shout Pellistri because I still think he's our best winger, and I think there's not another player we've got.
Our best winger?
He's our best winger because he's not greedy. And he wants to create, he wants to get to the byline and look for players to score goals.
So he's the opposite to Rashford.
And Garnacho and Anthony, all of them, he's different. And you saw the wing play today with him. We don't get that with the others. We just don't. And him and Wan-Bissaka were linking up, doing nice little passes here and there, and he was creating space for himself. We don't have another player that does that as consistent as he does. And I'll keep shouting it. There's a reason why, under Bielsa, he's starting for Uruguay every single game in international break against Brazil and setting up goals. I think he helped Darwin Núñez score in the last international break. This kid needs a chance, and if Rashford keeps underperforming, there is now players, and this is what I was saying before, there's players that are chomping at the bit to say, I will take your spot, and this is what United needs, that healthy competition. Yes, there's three or four youngsters in the mix there, but the old adage goes, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And that's how it has to be at Manchester United.
Kev, only one player that Erik ten Hag's brought in started today, Andre Onana. The rest were players, pretty much all of them.
Regimes.
Yeah. Going forward into the season, considering, the way he's moved in the market, how much faith do you have in the players that he's brought in? Because if he doesn't manage to figure them out, are we in a position, or are we the type of club that can just list Mason Mount on the transfer window if 1 year goes by and it doesn't work?
I don't personally think Man United would operate like that. I think we've seen over time that they've, unless the manager turns around and says, listen, I've got this one totally wrong, put him on the transfer list. I can't see it happening like that. And Mason Mount's not really had a run in the team, but you talk about Ten Hag signings. I mean, this time last season, we were sat behind this desk,
Miracles,
talking about, probably the only one was Anthony, but we were all like, it's his first season, let's give it time, he's young, let Ten Hag get him into the team. But we were waxing lyrical about the likes of Martinez, Eriksen, Casemiro, and saying,
at this point.
and saying they've all been absolutely spot on. Yeah, Malacia,
as well. I don't know where he is.
Talked him up. We were talking about the fee, saying, but a player that you wouldn't have looked at, and Ten Hag's identified him, brought him in. He's looked good. Yet, over the space of now, the start of this season, everybody's like, Casemiro's finished, Eriksen's never fit, and it's all, and you're like, whoa, yes, injuries are going to happen. And Manchester United will get these players back. So when we start getting them back, Ten Hag's at the point now with the team that he's selecting. Yes, you mentioned there was only Onana that is the player that he signed. It's purely down to injuries and the bad luck that we have had. Yeah. But the other one is, I think the players that were in the team today, from his point of view, he trusts them. Mainoo, for him to throw him in, I think it's the trust element that he's put out there. I trust this guy to go out there and implement my game plan. He will do what I say. Same with McTominay. I know he's not a massive fan favourite, but the two of them in that midfield area did well today. And then it's the other kind of suspects like Lindelof, Maguire. They have been doing it. And from Ten Hag's point, he's probably thinking, well, I'll continue to select you because if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Let's give huge credit to Van der Gaag, obviously, who was on the sideline today, our assistant manager, who did fantastically well. Obviously, Eric was on the phone to him, it seemed like, through...
We need Ten Hag sat in the stand every week now, don't we? That's,
he's a lookalike, so it doesn't make any difference.
But look, we're swiftly coming to the end of the show, but obviously we have to now tackle probably one of the biggest games Manchester United can face. I am going to hell. Literally. I'm going to hell. To the Galatasaray Stadium, probably the most hostile, if not the most hostile stadium in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
I'm excited to go there. I've got loads of Turkish fans. I've even got a fan from UK who's flying to Turkey to see me. Believe it or not, he's going to see me on Tuesday.
Why don't you just come?
Because he lives in London, and obviously I'm flying from here. So he said he wants to go to the game and see me as well. So I'm excited to see them. But I'll be deadly honest, I'm absolutely shitting myself.
I'm looking forward to seeing you come back with new hair and teeth, though, to be fair.
Whoa. Hold on. What do you mean I need new teeth and hair?
You're going to Turkey, right?
I'm going to take it to get 3 points.
Right. Bring them back as well.
Nothing is wrong with... Listen, I don't need
3 points and some new teeth.
I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay. My teeth are like Man United back line all over the place. It's okay. I'm happy with that. They're injured. But look, Galatasaray game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Big win today. Real good win, positive win. Players are going to be really hyped up now. Galatasaray are going to be looking at this thinking, okay, we've got a problem now. Problem's called Garnacho and a problem's called Kobbie Mainoo. What do we do with this? Yeah. And even Anthony Martial. Bruno Fernandes had a good game as well with an assist. Let me start with you, Kev. How are you feeling going into the Galatasaray game now?
Very, very, well, a bit like yourself, actually go into the game nervous, I'd say, more than anything. Yes, it's great today that we've won and going into that game. What I want to see again is the one word I'll use from today, I thought Man United were clinical. Because when we went 3-0 up, we'd only had 3 shots on target. So we've scored them 3 chances, and we have missed a hell of a lot of chances this kind of season. We need to be clinical. Midweek against Galatasaray. If we create opportunities, it's going to be a hostile environment. You know exactly what to expect. But I thought that today, and I thought United were, very good at silencing the crowd. An early goal would certainly quieten down the Galatasaray fans, but
I don't think
move on to that.
I don't think they're quiet.
Well, let's still be off
It's
the
not going to
head,
hurt, is it? I think Kev's spot on. I think Ten Hag needs to look at how we started the game today and say, boys, we need to go into hell, and this is exactly how we have to play this game.
Yeah, we can't go there expecting they're going to come at us and sit back. We have to go.
We have to take the game to him. We have to actually go for it and full lever, and because we need to win the game. It's as simple as that. And listen, this team, I'm going it very cautious. I can't get excited about today too much. It's a fantastic result in isolation, and it's helping this team hopefully start to climb and build some real form with real performances. But let's not kid ourselves. We went to Copenhagen thinking, let's see what we can do here, and we shit the bed. Truth be told, that could happen in hell. So let's see the team first, and then I'll talk about.
But we are the Red Devils.
That's true.
And
So we should be home. So we should be home. Yeah.
In my opinion,
Manchester United.
I'm not actually as like scared as everybody else because.
Really?
He's never been to hell. He's never been to hell.
I mean, he has, isn't it?
But should see some of my exes, mate. I've been to hell.
Now, the reason why is, first of all, I don't think we actually deserved a loss against them in the first place when they came here. I don't think that was entirely a very bad game. And secondly, Copenhagen went over there, they scored 2 goals. Bayern Munich went over there and scored 3 goals. It's not impossible to score at Galatasaray. People act like they've kept a clean sheet for like 10 years. That's not the case. Like they can concede goals. And I don't know, one thing about United is I feel like when we just at the lowest of our low, we just somehow get a result.
We rise from the ashes.
We actually just rise. Like, it's like the Paris game, the PSG game like 4 years ago, where it's like everyone thought we were out. Somehow we come back away at PSG and we get a result. To me, I think that's what's going to happen on Tuesday. I think
Starting 11?
The whole 11.
Yeah, quick. Bar Onana.
Okay, bar Onana.
Front 3 you keep the same?
No, Rashford's not going to play, so...
sorry.
Anthony, Pellistri, Garnacho.
Nah. I think if Haaland's fit...
Wait.
Haaland's not...
If Haaland's fit...
Is Haaland fit?
Anthony...
No, not Anthony. I meant Anthony Martial, my bad.
I was going to say, you had me.
I was like, Mordz is in the Ricky seat. He's trying to get his hot take in before we finish
I said Anthony in my head, I was thinking Martial in it, but I said Anthony. I meant Martial. Is Haaland playing? I didn't know.
We'll find out.
Do you know the shock of Mordz? I was looking at us and saying, what did I say?
And this is not me spreading rumours. I have a feeling he's going to be fine.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think all you do is change Haaland for Rashford and play that. I think that's what... Maybe I would bring Pellistri in because I love him and I want to see him get some minutes. But I think as Ten Hag, all he'll do is swap Haaland for Rashford. I think that'll be...
Martial left, Garnacho
I think
right.
so. I think
Interesting.
So. Yeah.
And the midfield?
I think it'll be the same. I think
Kobbie Mainoo in Galatasaray.
Why not?
Why not?
Wow.
I actually don't mind it. I'm not against it.
Have you ever been to Goodison? That's a scout's help.
I was going to say, he's done it on a cold Sunday afternoon at Goodison.
Yeah.
I mean,
Next,
he's
bring on
play
Galatasaray.
better in that 6th role. Tommy's not playing better in that role.
No one. Amrabat's not
playing.
The pressure.
Casemiro's not playing. He's playing better in that 6th.
Not fazed by it, man. He's
pressure.
Yeah.
This kid is ice cold.
I'm predicting a man on the match performance from him. If he starts the game,
wow,
100%. Yeah, man.
Okay, and the back line?
And it's me earlier saying about building him up, and now I've mentioned him in the same breath as Jude Bellingham. And he's getting man of the match on Wednesday. Of course he is, man.
Wamby might get a start because you're thinking he needs to be more defensive.
No, he has to, because Dallo had his
Wilfred.
Yeah. So put Wamby on him, and he ain't getting a sniff, is he? So.
And Luke Shaw?
Has to be starting.
Yeah.
Varane?
Nah, it'll be Magaloff for him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it will be.
And just to quickly, man of the match for today, Kev?
Kobbie Mainoo, without a shadow of a doubt. I know the TV that we were watching give it to Garnacho, which fair enough, scored an absolute worldie. But if you're judging it, yes, you come off with about 20 minutes left, innit? Yeah. But if you judge that, let's say that's 70 minutes of football as a performance, take into consideration it's his first Premier League start of the season, injured pre-season, just to walk in and play like that against Everton at such a young age. The future's bright. The future's Man United.
Just lastly, you agree with the man of the match?
I was going to say VAR for overturning that decision, but let's go Kobbie Mainoo. Why not?
Yeah. I think it's a clean sweep. Kobbie Mainoo it is. Yeah. Last few super chats.
Ricky would have said Ashley Young. He's not here.
Tommy was on the pitch. He's mad.
Netflix and Chilwell, I love that, says, I was loving Bruno after the match. He sounded like a captain by praising players and also stepping aside to try help others gain confidence. Rob says, great show and win. Thought United had to contain a pumped-up Everton in the first half. Keel Robinson says, 6 goals with Rashford playing on the right. Interesting. Sticks says, it's going to take a 6-0 loss for Varane to be back in, and it won't be long till that happens.
Well, come on.
Shaheen says, if we're not playing Martial too much, let's keep him. We still need 1 or 2 centre-backs, a right-back, another centre midfielder, unless we get top striker like Osimhen.
We don't score goals, so we need people who are going to be consistently fit. The best ability is availability, and we need that up top.
Let us just enjoy this win. It's very, very rare that we get these wins.
Well, look, thank you all for joining me and the panel today. A fantastic win, 3-0 against Everton away from home. What a way to start off after international break. So there's no more international break until March. And you know what that means? It means the thumbnail may just come true.
Who knows?
You being malicious, yeah.
Anything is possible if you believe. I used to say this last season. So all the people in the chat that don't like the thumbnail, well, what if we go and pump Newcastle next?
And Chelsea.
It can happen.
And Chelsea. Anything is possible if you believe. And we will be there. Galatasaray is the next game on Wednesday. Yes, I'll be there to bring you all the content from Turkey. Beth will be covering the press conferences and Mordz as well. There'll be loads of content coming out on the United stand. So make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Like the video, subscribe. And also December 11th, live show in Manchester. Tickets available in the description. Come and see us live. Thank you all. Take care. And title charge is on, right?
Yes.
Let's have it.